Whether any one person can be declared the winner of that race is still a matter of debate and national pride. What is certain is that the roots of television go back more than 100 years. From the 1880s, experiments in Russia, Germany, the United States, France, and Great Britain paved the way. Even Alexander Graham Bell designed elements of the system, although he never attempted to build it. As early as 1907, the word television was used in Scientific American magazine. By the 20s, more than 50 serious proposals for distance seeing had been documented. But a fundamental division emerged between two methods of making TV pictures, a division that was to create bitterness and controversy. Some insisted that television would have to be electronic, using the recently invented cathode ray tube. Others were equally committed to the idea of mechanical television. This is the heart of mechanical TV, the Nipkow disc, invented in Germany in 1884. Spinning at high speed inside both the camera and the home receiver, its size and crude pictures were to prove disastrous for its supporters.
We introduce Mr. John Baird, the inventor.
This is the scanning disc with its lenses. This is the second disc by which the light is further divided and passes into the light cell.
John Logie Baird was an eccentric Scot with several failed businesses behind him. With his assistant, Victor Mills, Baird conducted the first successful experiment with mechanical television.
And I put my hand in front of the neon, just a flick. But in the meantime, Baird yelled out, "It's here, it's here."
That image, reconstructed here, was the first time anyone had achieved an instantaneous moving picture anywhere in the world. The year was 1923. Experiments continued. Because the scorching lights and the rigidity he needed from his models were too much for a human sitter, he used a ventriloquist dummy named Stooky. By 1926, Baird was able to transmit a picture 8 miles and had put together his own company, Television Limited. In America, experiments in mechanical television similar to Baird's were going on as well. Charles Francis Jenkins, one of the inventors of the motion picture projector, demonstrated a mechanical system to government officials in Washington in 1925. The next year, General Electric presented a demonstration of its system, developed by Ernst Alexanderson. By then, a young engineer in Japan was experimenting with electronic television. Kenshiro Takayanagi recalls that he was very conscious of the race.
I thought to myself, I'm also doing serious research into television, and I must never let the other countries beat me. So I have to get something done very quickly. I decided that to begin with, I would try to transmit the Japanese letter I. Then, very soon, a really good image appeared. I know that I was able to show the character I on my screen.
In the late 1920s, the Soviet Union was also in the race for television. During the vast social upheaval in the years following the revolution, Soviet scientists quickly solved the basic problems of producing television pictures.
This, in essence, is the first television picture obtained by us as long ago as 1928.
While an experimental studio in Leningrad worked with mechanical TV, major developments in electronic television were being made in Tashkent as early as 1926. For the Soviets, however, radio was the new popular miracle. Some scientists left revolutionary Russia to continue the television race in the West. Vladimir Zworykin came to America. A firm believer in electronic television, Zworykin had, by 1923, developed a cathode ray tube called the iconoscope, but his boss at Westinghouse was dubious.
He wasn't very impressed. So finally he asked me a few questions, mostly how long did I work with this system and so on, and departed, saying a few words to the director of the laboratory. Later on I found out that what he said was, put his guy to work on something more useful.
Zworykin found a more prescient patron in the powerful RCA company and its redoubtable boss, another Russian emigre, David Sarnoff. Sarnoff had early recognized the commercial and entertainment potential of television and was given to visionary pronouncements about it. He announced, "The whole country will join in every national procession via television." And he predicted that it would transform human relations. With Zworykin plunging ahead, Sarnoff hastened to buy and control many of the patents crucial to the perfection of television. There was one significant holdout. Today, 200 Green Street in San Francisco is a historic monument. Elma Farnsworth was with her husband more than 60 years ago when he conducted research in electronic television. It was 1927, and Philo T. Farnsworth was 20 years old. His widow recalls his dedication to television, revealed on their wedding night.
He said, "You know, there's another woman in my life." And I said, well, I didn't say anything. I was dumbstruck. And he said, "Well, her name is television. And in order to have enough time together, I want you to work with me." And he said, "We're going to be working right on the edge of discovery, and it's going to be very exciting, and I want you to be part of it."
Television is about to emerge from the laboratory to bring into your home news, entertainment, and material of educational value.
RCA tried to block Farnsworth's application for a patent. When that failed, they tried to buy him out. He refused. But money was a problem. One sponsor who attended his first demonstration was a banker called Daddy Fagan.
Mr. Fagan called out and he said, "When are we going to see some dollars in this thing, Farnsworth?" And immediately a dollar sign appeared on the screen.
It became more and more evident that electronic television was the better method. But advocates of mechanical television stubbornly clung to the belief that theirs was a viable system. In London, John Logie Baird continued to develop his mechanical TV, but it was still noisy and cumbersome. And he also had run into serious money trouble. It was time for a bold gimmick.
It is interesting to note that as far back as 1928, I spanned the Atlantic with television.
Almost 35 years before the communications satellite, Baird sent a television picture from London to New York. The low frequencies used for TV then allowed the signal to travel much greater distances than today. In another successful publicity stunt, Baird's team set up their equipment on board the SS Berengaria in mid-Atlantic and invited the ship's radio operator to view his fiancée in Baird's London studio. The press ate it up, headlining, "Lovers Meet by Television." But there was little comment about the fact that the operator had difficulty recognizing his fiancée. The images produced by mechanical TV remained very crude for all Baird's energies. American companies such as RCA, AT&T, and General Electric were also active in the race for television.
And we'll now show you the first motion picture record of a television image.
This picture was recorded and synchronized with sound in the General Electric Company's House of Magic at Schenectady, New York.
By the end of the 20s, there were 28 licensed visual broadcasting stations in the United States, transmitting faces and silhouettes. GE broadcast Al Smith's acceptance of the Democratic presidential nomination. Radio stars like Rudy Vallee were eager to appear on the new device. Charles Francis Jenkins was sending out a regular schedule of telecasts. His program manager, herself a frequent performer, was Irma Cronin.
The picture was about, I'd say 6 by 6 inches, maybe. And as we broadcast, we were using a neon tube with a 365-degree scanning wheel in front of it. The result was a red background. The figure was purely a black silhouette. It looked very much like a shadow play. So I never was stopped on the street and said, somebody would say, "I recognize you," because they couldn't have recognized me. They could not have known my features. There weren't any features on camera. It was just an outline in black.